So a little bit about me. I am an artist, a recovering YouTuber, I like to say, who has now taken a big deep dive into frontier technology over the past few years and integrated that into my work, everything from AI to VR. And tonight I'm going to be talking with you specifically about artificial intelligence and how I have integrated it into my work and used it to be more creative, and hopefully you can take with you some of those lessons and think about how you might integrate it into your companies or businesses or individual endeavors. Essentially, I have been working on an album for the past 9 months and change, where I've been composing all of the music using artificial intelligence, as well as integrating that into the videos, and you will get to see one at the end of this project. So a lot of people first ask me, why did you start creating music with AI? And the answer to that, which you've already seen on the next slide, is actually a little known story about my past. When I was 17 years old, I competed in American Idol. And though this was the beginning of my, what I thought would be a big career as a singer, things on American Idol didn't go so well. And these are some of the headlines that came out shortly after my debut in the top 50 semifinals. I was a wee little high schooler. So I had really, really bad stage fright. Like such terrible stage fright that in the final round on American Idol 3, I stood up, I forgot all my lyrics to the song, and not just like some of the lyrics, I forgot all of my lyrics to the song, and I just stood there frozen. I mean, I think it could be every person's worst nightmare to have this happen in a room this size, never mind in front of 15 million people watching live. So that happened, and I said, I will never sing again. I will never get up in front of a live audience again. I just can't handle it. And I put aside my dreams of singing, and I went to school and studied anthropology. Cut to 5 years later, when this little known website called YouTube, which was for cat videos and all kinds of crazy things, came about. And I decided to post a music video of me singing, because it was the first time where I could actually sing alone in my bedroom. No one had to watch me. I had no fear of stumbling over lyrics. And if I messed up, I could just record again and edit it out. And so it was YouTube that really brought me back to my passion for singing and really brought me back to my passion for music. So what does this have to do with AI? Well, I basically started working with AI for the very same reason that I started using YouTube to get back to singing, which was AI was able to fill in certain gaps in the creation process that I couldn't do on my own. So I'm a musician, but a pretty terrible one. I took piano lessons when I was a kid, but my piano teacher was like in her 70s and rather narcoleptic, and so I just didn't learn very much. And so I've never been able to perform music very well. And so I'm good at writing lyrics and vocal melodies, but when it comes to actually composing and understanding musical composition, not so great. However, I did grow up coding. I built my first website when I was 13 for my Beanie Baby collection. Code was just a language that I understood. So when I came across an article in the New York Times a year and a half ago talking about how AI was being used for music, I got really excited. So I started researching all of the platforms that were out there, the various technologies like IBM Watson and Google Magenta and Ava and Amper, and reaching out to the founders being like, I'd love to use your tool. And some of them responded. So I started using their tools, and it became rather clear very quickly that I could make real music using these tools. So a lot of people think that's a little bit freaky. They get nervous when they think about something like artificial intelligence coming in and doing creative work. I think a lot of people have misconceptions about what that means and what the process entails. But for me, as an artist, it's really been a sort of renewed process of collaboration, if you will. So I'll say when I'm working with like a paintbrush or a piano, I'm an artist and I'm wielding that tool. But when I'm working with artificial intelligence and there's a feedback loop that's coming back to me, I'm really collaborating with that tool. So it's kind of like a game of improv. I throw out an idea or some direction. The AI gives me something back. I tell it what I like and what I don't like. It gives me something again. And then from this iterative process that goes back and forth, I'm able to edit this raw material into something that I find interesting. And we know in the process of building companies, in the process of making creative works of art, collaboration is one of the key components to actually making something successful. So that's what I get really excited about. So this is my new formula. Human creativity plus AI equals augmented human creative intelligence. It's almost as if I have a new partner that is an extension of myself and can do all the things that I can't do. So here are some of the lessons that I have learned in my year and change of working with AI on music. So one is that I've found that working with AI, and this is actually the code from my third AI song that I wrote. But in working with AI, I realized that it gave me a greater bandwidth for pattern recognition. So, whether the AI is running on a generative adversarial network or a rule-based network, it can analyze a huge amount of data. And in that data, there are patterns, and some of those patterns are recognizable to us, others are not. Some may sound a bit alien, but by going through this process, I'm essentially able to find divergent patterns that I wouldn't otherwise find if I were writing the song on my own. And in many cases, human composers will tell you that they function almost like an advanced algorithm. Max Martin, he's one of the top songwriters of all time, and he's had more pop hits than any other composer and songwriter, and it's because he's really good at analyzing the patterns that we like to hear and knowing what people will respond well to. So he's like an advanced AI. Now, when I'm working with AI and its capabilities, I'm almost able to amass in a similar way more advanced pattern recognition and analyze my own pattern recognition, almost like a meta-awareness that I did not have before, which is cool. The other benefit to working with AI is we get access to really novel collaborations. So imagine fusing your pattern recognition skills with that of Bach or Beethoven or Frank Sinatra or whomever strikes your fancy. So being able to collaborate with someone with an entirely different style and background, I think that's really where the magic is made. So I'm going to give you an example here, and hopefully this one works. This is the latest song that I released called Lovesick. I composed it with a tool called Ava, which is a tool that focuses on analyzing classical music. And here is the original MIDI file that Ava came back to me with after several iterative processes. So it kind of sounds like a Westworld piano ditty almost, and this was made by analyzing thousands of tracks from the 1800s and the Romantic period with some back and forth and direction from me. And here is what happened after I transposed the instrumentation and after I added vocals.
Oh, the crazy things I do, 'cause when I see you, I feel like a little crazy. A little
So taking the Romantic period music pieces and trying to infuse it with a pop style, it was an interesting creative challenge that really forced me to think outside the box. Here's another example of a way that you can use AI for a novel kind of collaboration. This is the front-facing interface for Google's InSynth, which allows you to combine disparate sounds to create new instruments. So what happens if you combine a synth with a cat? Well, here's the sound of the synth. Oh, that's the sound of the cat. Here's the sound of the Sinta Cat. Oh, that's the synth. Okay. Now, this is the synth cat. So it might not be the most pleasant sound, but it's a new instrument, which is kind of fun and cool and creates a lot of new opportunities to, like I said, think outside the box and do something novel. And the third lesson that I've learned from working with AI is that I've been able to ship work. This is the hardest part of the creative process, is actually finishing something and getting it out to the world. I like to joke that the creative process is 90% process and 10% creative. And that's held true for most of my career, whatever it is that I'm doing. And in working with AI, having a partner that is able to function 24/7 and do some of the things that I'm not so good at, like instrumentation and thick chord structures, has been really helpful in actually getting my work out to the world. It's also allowed me to cycle through the creative process a lot more quickly and provided me with novel sources of inspiration. So this is where I think we're at in our journey with AI and pretty much every other technological advancement. I like to say that you don't have to know how a camera works to be a good photographer. And similarly, you don't actually have to understand how AI works to start using it, working with it, integrating it into your creative process or into other areas that you're looking at. So if any of you out there are thinking about how you might incorporate AI from the creative point of view or from an entirely different point of view, here are some of the ways that it's currently being used for creative projects. One would be to predict hit song. This university predicted top 10 hit songs on the radio. IBM Watson has been used to edit film trailers, generate new forms of visual art. In this case, some of these paintings were rated higher on an emotional ranking than other paintings done by humans. To write poems. This one's actually pretty decent. And of course, to compose music. This fortunately was not a headline for my music, but another AI-written pop song out there. So these are just some of the ways that AI is currently being used in creative ways. So if we look, I love this slide. It makes me laugh every time I see it. It's like, wow, technological process. It happens slowly, but not. So if we look back on everything that we've accomplished in the last 20 years, I think it's not far off to say that with AI, we'll very soon be able to listen to music tailored specifically to our emotional needs. We'll be able to design clothes that monitor our biological data and respond in real time to any signs of immune distress we might have, and we can even create inspirational art that changes in real time with our emotional needs or wants or desires. And we can't do any of this without artificial intelligence. So ultimately, when people ask me whether working with AI has made me feel more or less creative, I always say, oh my gosh, way more creative. Like I mean, I'm still just a musician hobbyist, really. I'm a filmmaker by day and a musician hobbyist by night. And it's through using this new tool that I've found a newfound passion for music and also a newfound language for music that I wouldn't have otherwise had. So I look back on my very first album that I made in high school. This was before American Idol, before all my dreams were crushed. And I think about how hard it was for me to make this sucker. Like, I had to bribe the kids in my band class with Blockbuster gift certificates to get it made, and it took me 9 months, and I think I printed everything out at Kinko's with all my babysitting money, and I almost didn't finish it. And it only had 4 songs. And now I think about this new tool that allows pretty much any kid anywhere with or without formal music education, resources, or knowledge to create music, and that, to me, is very, very exciting, because creative expression in all forms, I think, is one of the best tools we have right now, and is particularly necessary in today's climate. So yeah, it's this tool, this like funny little AI tool that I'm very excited about in terms of leveling the creative playing field, removing barriers to entry, etc. So on that note, I think my time is up. I do have the first single that I released for the album, so if we want to hear just the first part of that video, yeah, is everyone interested in it? We'll see if it plays. Okay, hopefully it works. Yeah, here we go. Can we just turn the volume up? This is Break Free, about a woman who desires to break free from her biological limitations.
I wish I could see beyond what I can see. I wish I could touch beyond what I can touch. I wish I could feel beyond what isn't real. I wish I could imagine, yeah. There's more to who we are. There's more to what we could be. As I feel the weight of being, I'm learning how to break free. I'm breaking. I'm breaking. I could hear beyond what I can hear. I wish I could taste beyond what I can taste. I wish I could sense beyond the present tense. I wish I could imagine, yeah. There's more to who we are. There's more to what we could be. As I feel the weight of being, I'm learning how to break free. I'm breaking. I'm breaking free. I'm breaking down. Breaking free. I've tried to walk a mile in someone else's mind, but underneath a smile, we all feel quarantined. There's more to who we are. There's more to what we could be. As I feel the weight of being, I'm learning how to break free. I'm breaking. I'm breaking free. I'm breaking down. Breaking free.
So that's Break Free. That was the first song I released. Thank you. That was the first song I released using an AI known as Amper, which is actually based here in New York City. And yeah. So thank you. If you guys want to see the second single I released, which I produced a video for in virtual reality, you can go to my YouTube channel and you can watch it either in 360-degree game engine wonderfulness, or you can watch it in 2D.
Wonderful, that was terrific. Thank you so much. Just a couple of questions, one from me, and then I'll open up to whoever else wants to ask a question. So in this song specifically, so you use Amper. So Amper enables you to create, I guess, describe exactly how that works. So you started with an idea, and maybe you know, double click on the iterative process that you were referring to. How does that? What is the practicality of it?
For anyone who's interested in doing making music with AI, Amper is definitely the place to start. It's the easiest. It's got a very simple front-facing interface. And it allows you to input parameters such as BPM, mood, instrumentation, style, genre, and have their network spit something out at you. From there, you can then give the resulting piece feedback, so to speak. You can edit parts of it or all of it, or just dump it all together and start something fresh. And then you can download all the stems so that you can take each instrument line, edit and rearrange as you see fit, which is really the process that I undertook when working with Amper. Yeah.
And how long did it take for this?
Well, the technology wasn't really ready yet when I started this song, so it took this song took particularly long. We had to do some workarounds, but I'd probably say like 40 to 45 iterations. So and then some editing and rearranging on my end to create song structure.
So it's a different creative process, but it's still a lot of hard work and iterations and trying.
It's actually very similar to directing a film. You're giving people direction, you're putting all the pieces together, and then at the end you're responsible for editing it together or overseeing an editor. But in this case, you're editing it together in a manner that makes sense or is comprehensively giving people a story or a feeling. Yeah.
Thank you. Do we have a question here?
Few. There's a few back there.
Yep, and we'll do this one and then we'll...
Thank you. Fabulous presentation. So follow up on Matt's question, who owns the music?
That's a great question.
In the past you owned the guitar, now the platform, it's not yours. How does it work?
Yeah, I'm sort of the guinea pig, and in many ways trying my very hardest to not set any bad precedents for artists. It's different depending on the tool, right? So I know I'm being a little bit vague there, but Watson, for instance, Google, Magenta, they're open source tools. Those companies have kind of said, we just want people to play and experiment, so use them, take whatever, it's fine. Some of these other tools, they need to have a business model that makes sense. But I think that that's going to be at the forefront of conversation and debate going forward. Yeah.
One last one.
Sorry. Okay, you're excited.
Another iteration of the same question. What about the music? I noticed you use classical music, which is public domain.
Yeah.
But if you're recognizing patterns, it just looks like you're setting yourself up. Other than public domain music, setting yourself for lawsuits left and right.
I actually just spoke at the Copyright Society, and here's the thing. I'm not actually using anything that's not in public domain for my album, but I'm sure that people will be very interested in using these tools for music that it is not in public domain. And there are arguments that go both ways from people who are much smarter and better in the legal domain than I am. And there are strong arguments that human composers already act very much like little AI pattern recognizers. You know, there's so many patterns that occur over and over and over. Whoa! Like, God, how many times do you have to hear that in a pop song? But it happens in like every pop song because we love it's like a very common note arrangement. So I think that will also be at the forefront of debate, and we'll get better at really getting down to the nitty-gritty of creativity and the algorithms that govern our own thinking, if you will, and our own creative process.
Wonderful. On that note, thank you so much, Taryn. This
Thank
was
you
wonderful.
all. Thank you for having me.